Hello, love. How y'all doing? I'm Sarah Sparks. As you guys know, we're streaming this in the Woman Up Spiritual Community. So happy Wednesday, and it's Ways to Move Forward Wednesday, which is just perfect because Julie has really moved forward. And this is Julie. Is it Hegwood? Is that how I say?
Hegwood. Yep.
Hegwood.
Yep.
Julie entered my life August, September of last year,
Yep.
and you brought your sister-in-law to inner space,
Yes.
and you wanted me to channel the both of your chosen paths, and it was a channeling your chosen path workshop. And I channeled, if I wrote it down here, but it's only because only way that I can remember
Right.
is because we've talked about it, that just by living your life, you inspire others to live theirs.
Right.
So what made you even want to know your chosen path in the first place? Like, why did you want to go to that workshop?
Well, so that was my first workshop that I went to at Inner Space. And so my reasoning for going was very much not about me wanting to know my chosen path. It was wanting to check out Inner Space because it was, something I was really interested in. I loved their concept. But it was more, I brought my sister-in-law. That class was for my sister-in-law completely. And if I remember correctly, even at the end, when I gave you a hug at the end, I was like, this was for her. I walked out of there still thinking that I had gone there for her,
Mm-hmm.
But that's when you told me my chosen path. I remember thinking, okay, great. Well, I kind of already knew that. I've already been doing that through the teaching yoga and just doing things like bringing my sister-in-law to workshops. I've kind of been that facilitator of bringing people to spirituality or whatever for really the last few years. And so when you told me that, I was like, great, that doesn't that doesn't really tell me anything. And I also remember asking you, so now when do I get to leave my corporate job? Because I was tying my chosen path with my job, and and so it's taken, and it's what's happened over the last few months now, realizing that I really wasn't there for my sister-in-law. I certainly was there for me, and making this shift in thinking that I knew everything and what I was doing to this detour, not tying my chosen path with my income anymore, with my job anymore. And really I've taken this big detour. So it's been completely different from what I thought it was when I walked in the door.
Let's touch on that, because I feel like many people do tie their chosen path with making an income.
Yeah.
I have noticed in my own life, when I don't focus on the income is when the income comes in.
Yes.
But I focus on the cause. So like, I'm focusing on one of the reasons why I'm interviewing all the amazing soulmate clients of mine that I love working with. Like, I truly, like, you and I text each other,
right, exactly.
like throughout the week, or share, oh, I had this or that, and you do that, and I try to respond rather quickly. I think I may have forgotten one day that you text me. But why I want to have these conversations is for people to realize that there's so many different walks along a path. It's not just channeling someone's corporate job for them, or like, hey, this is just one thing. Or sometimes the chosen path isn't tied with money. And even myself, my chosen path is speaking to the masses, the guided message on pure love. And that is so broad for me that I was just like, oh my gosh. And so yours is just by living my life, I am inspiring others to live theirs. And so it's not necessarily tied with money. How have you started intentionally living this chosen path? Like, why your soul really came here?
It's been still a struggle. I will admit I'm still in that space. I've been in the corporate world now for 20 years, and I've been doing jobs that, while I've been successful at them, and right now I have a really great gig right now because I have a whole lot of freedom, and it allows me to explore some, other things that are of interest to me. But still, it's been very difficult because I've been trying to find something else to do since I walked into the door of this corporate world, 16, 17 years ago. So it really has just been in the last couple of months. In fact, it was, I think, in the last 6 weeks, you said to me really very firmly, or spirit said to me through you that, your chosen path is not your job. It's not your income. Who said it? Who said it was supposed to be, how your income came in? And that was a big deal for me because I've been trying to figure out how to make money off of this ever since I started. I really started hardcore on the spiritual path about 3 years ago. Started teaching yoga and then had this, great big business plan of what I wanted to do and this holistic health center. And while I still have a lot of those same dreams, as time has gone by and I figured out things I like and I don't like, they've shifted and morphed and everything. The money side of it never really felt good, and so I think I really have to take the money piece of it out, and that's difficult, especially for someone in corporate America to take the money piece out of it. And I will be honest, daily. Today, I had to give myself a little pep talk today, about just taking deliberate action. I've asked for what I wanted. I know that by living my life, and part of living my life is writing about my life, it's then going to turn into this next thing. I know this. And so I don't need to come up with some other way to make money in the meantime. And I just letting that go. But believe me, I got to talk myself into that just about every day. So
there's two things that you said that I think would be good to touch on for clarification for others. Cause I know like the in-between thought.
Right, exactly.
So one is switching the focus of money as your source to the universe now being your source. And by doing that, how quickly things came about, and we'll get to that part, but then truly knowing what you wanted. So you're like, well, I know what I wanted, but you didn't. Like you didn't, exactly. Like when we first started talking, it was like Bumble or whatever, whatever app you were talking about, like the trying to find somebody, just stumbling upon somebody to spend your life with, that sort of thing.
Right.
Talk to me a little bit about that. Like what has shifted for you from like, I kind of know what I want, kind of don't, to like, I know what I want and I've asked and now I'm receiving. Like what?
I mean, I tell you what, I've had a lot of big aha moments in my life. And so but the most recent one that has really just propelled me forward was, in January, I have been single for 3 years now and have dated on and off and haven't had any type of serious relationship for 3 years by choice. A lot of that, I needed to recover and heal. It was, one of those type of things, and really found myself. But I gotten to the point where I just was like, I don't want anything less. I'm tired of just dating. I'm tired of just doing things for fun or whatever. I wanted, something more. And we were talking and I was feeling very, not just really unhappy. Like, how am I going to find this person, in my day-to-day life? And I want this, person. And so you suggested that I write this letter to the universe. And so I did. And it was probably one of the most cathartic things I've ever done, because I realized as I was writing it that all of my failed relationships really weren't failed at all. And they had brought me to where I was, you know what I mean? And really helped me hone in on what I was looking for. And it was interesting because I was like, oh, there's, that person and there's that person, and and it really just helped me narrow down on that.
Can I just like, I don't want to interrupt you, but I do just now, because in your voice, it sounds like part of writing it out, which I hadn't noticed before, was also healing for you. And being like I don't have to hang on to these. There was a
Yeah.
purpose, and now I'm thankful for them. Like, is what I feel from you right now.
It was 100%, it was healing. And it was that piece of it. But then also, I think it's the piece, which, you know, there's multiple storylines going on, but also it's the piece of letting go that I've led a very different life than the rest of my family has. You know, my mom was 16 when she met my dad, my brother, my sister, they both married their high school sweetheart. And I've not done that, you know? And so I think it was letting go of that I had failed to the point of, this is exactly where I want to be. You know, I had all of these experiences and it has brought me to this place where I have the courage to come right out and write a 3-page letter and ask for exactly what I want. And it was so very detailed. You know, I wanted someone with older children because I've been a mom since I was 19 and I'm ready for the next phase. I wanted someone who loved to travel and had the means to do so, you know, just who, you know, knew how to do stuff. And, you know, just really, it was very, very detailed. And it was funny because I ended it with, and if he could play guitar and sing, that would be awesome. And I know I'm being a little, you know, asking for too much here, but yeah, that would be great. So anyway, so I write the letter, right? And then this is, you know, this was the big aha moment that came. So I don't know how to shorten this. I'll try to shorten the story. So I'm in Kauai for spring break. We're there. It's the beginning, 9th of March is when we go. So it's right before the world falls apart. The world falls apart while we were there. My parents freak out. They still are in lockdown. They still have my brother delivering groceries to them. Like, that's where they're at. And that's fine. And they can be there, but I was not there. Yeah. I had a friend that I had worked with 20 years ago. He lived in Maui. He had reached out via Facebook, said, hey, next time you should come do this local style. My daughter's school got canceled. I'm like, let's go to Maui. My parents just seriously threw a fit to the point where my mom didn't even get out of the car when they dropped us off at the airport. I mean, it was just very consternacious. And I'll say this one part and then I'll get on with it. But at one point, I remember they were sitting out on the lanai. We were leaving that day. I just talked to you. I'm like, dude, I am leaving in 20 minutes. I don't know what to do. I feel this is going to be life-changing. But I just don't know. And it was just so, you know, everything, like I was going to lose a lot of money. Again, my parents were super pissed at me. We didn't know what was going on in the world. I could have gotten stuck over there forever. I mean, I didn't know what was going to happen. And you said, you need to go. For at least 2 weeks, you know, you need to go. And then you also said something about, and you are stepping away from your parents and let the water wash you clean. You've already started to heal, let the water wash you clean. And I'm like, sweet, right? So I go out and I tell my parents, and I had been saying this, and I'm like, I know you don't understand this, but like everything I've done so far, you know, all this work that I've done is leading up to this moment. What kind of person are you going to be? Are you going to be this person, this, no offense, Iowa person who goes home and does the safe thing and, you know, this and gives into fear? Or are you going to be this? And I looked at, and you can't see it, but this yellow butterfly tattoo on my arm that I had just gotten 2 days before I went to Hawaii. And I'm like, are you going to be this yellow butterfly and soar and open up and experience this life? And I knew that it was this life-changing moment. Fast forward, so I'm telling way too long of a story. We were at the beach a few days later with some friends, and my 3-page letter to the universe man swims up to me in the ocean. And again, I could probably talk for another 20 minutes about how amazing it is. He's everything down to the T that I was looking for and more. And it was at that moment that I was like, pardon my language, holy shit, this actually works. You know what I mean? And like, ever since then, it's been like, wow, I really can do this. And it's just been a completely different world. So that's.
You feel like once you wrote the letter, so there was healing aspects in the letter, but there was there's that sweet spot of you have done the healing work. You have done the work up to that point. The letter also gave you permission to let go, to forgive, to truly ask for what you want. I feel like there are many people who are afraid to ask for what they really want. Or like myself, for years, I thought, well, spirit will just lead me. But for the last And I feel like the energy is kind of like waning off a little bit, but during quarantine, the energy was so strong of tell me what you want. Like,
Right.
tell me what you
Sure.
want, what you really want. Like,
Right.
spirit, the universe, God was like, tell me what you want and I'll give it to you. Like,
Right.
you need to know what you want. And I feel like it's that way all the time, but the energy was just really strong during quarantine.
No,
So like yeah, that sweet spot for you.
Yeah.
So like you wrote the letter, but you didn't like obsess over letter or like.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole piece of it too. You know, I've been, like I said, a student of this, of this, all of this, and really doing a lot of the Abraham Hicks ask, believe, and receive. And I just, that getting out of my own way and receiving part was where I was stuck, as well. I think a lot of people were. But I remember I wrote the letter. You told me to write the letter. My daughter and I had a little ceremony for it out on the back deck, and we burned it and everything, and really let it go to the universe. And I remember I was having brunch at St. Kilda with my girlfriend maybe a couple weeks later, and she's single as well, and we were swapping stories, and I didn't have any because I just wasn't doing that. She's like, well, how are you gonna, and I told her about the letter, and she's like, and I'm the crazy woo-woo one of the group, which is fine, and she's like, well, when are you gonna get back on the dating sites? And I'm like, I'm just not going to. I just know that's not how I'm going to meet him. It's like, it's very specific. And I just know he's just going to come to me. I'm going to be standing here in the produce aisle at Hy-Vee, or he's going to swim up to me in the ocean in Maui when I'm least expecting it. I let it go. And that was for the first time. That was the longest I'd ever gone without a relationship since I was 17 years old, which is a huge part of my healing journey, a huge part of it. So yes, I had primed myself definitely to be in this spot, ready to take this great big leap that I'm doing right now.
Yeah. And what is that great big leap?
Well, so Mr. Letter from the Universe guy swims up to us in the ocean, and I end up getting to stay there for another few weeks after that. So spent a month in Hawaii, which is fantastic, and got back, and we're moving there now. He moved there. He wasn't supposed to be there either. And again, it's a great story in and of itself. My daughter's dad, who, again, another great story. I am writing a book about all this because, man, there's a lot of stories. We have become best friends over the last year. We used to not speak. For real, we did not speak for years after we got divorced, and now we have become best friends. And he is moving as well. He's going out there as well. It was amazing because we had this great conversation, and I had all these reasons lined up. But anyway, I hardly had to do any convincing. And then he looked at me and he was like, and I don't know what you're doing, but I see this, and you've got something, and I want to know. And so ever since then, he and I mean, this is my ex-husband. We've had dinner together with our daughter, you know what I mean? We did like kind of a vision board discussion. We've talked about the letter for you. Like, my ex-husband saw this in me. And so, I lived my chosen path that way, just by doing my thing and talking to him about it. He got inspired, and now he's on this, and we're all moving to Hawaii to do something different and have a different life. So Here we go.
Yep. Yeah. And even though, we channeled a timeline that Spirit gave you, but even to how to move to Hawaii and all that stuff. But even with that, it's still energy. And so throughout, like, yes, it's been proven to you that the universe provides, but it's also continually going back and being like, oh, I need to allow. So is it because I feel like there's been times when you have texted me like this weekend, and I was going to respond with WTF. Right. But it's okay because I still am in practice with this, like we all are. And that's why I'm talking about it is like, we ask, but are we really clear with what we ask? That is like key that I want others to know. Like, you were very clear, and you were not willing to compromise or settle on anything less.
No.
And then you made the decision. Like, what also helps is like, I'm moving to Maui. Like, and then the universe has to go with that. That, like, it's like the Aladdin, and you like ask and bam, I'll create you a prince, you know, and so it's like, but then following those nudges, like you were like, oh, I need to get the house ready. I need to do this. And so like things were falling into place, and, or like, I need to have a conversation with the father. And so then it's like, I need, and then that, because you made the decision, the universe has already been working with them. And so he's like, yeah,
exactly. Yeah. I'm in that spot right now. And you're right. It's, especially with the weather, whoever is watching this and doing, the weather has been so awful that it's been really, that throws me out. So, I mean, this has been pretty much every day I have to kind of talk myself back into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know where I was going with my train of thought. I apologize.
It's okay.
So I'm in this spot right now where, okay, so we did come up with this timeline, and it is still very much, and I've been, like I said, in the corporate world for 20 years. So I'm very much I can be all hippie and stuff. I'm still much a very corporate person, and I like my timeline.
And we also have to preface with, we didn't come up with it. Spirit gave it to us, because your ultimate, like your vibration is, I want to get to Maui, the most effective, the easiest path. This is what I want. And, or we could have gone another route too. And Spirit's like, well, then let me inspire a little bit more, and I need a little bit more time.
Yeah.
And if I'm not revealing too much, like we had to have a couple more conversations on, okay, we need to be clear on what you want. Do you want this, or do you want that? And like, you need to be clear on it, because then the universe and Spirit can work and give you what you want, but you had to then make that decision.
Yeah. And, you know, and it very much was, what do you want? And it came down to, you know, do we want to move now before school starts again in August, or do we want to move a year later, you know, and what felt better? Because they would be two different paths to get there, because this very condensed time frame that we're working on is very condensed, and it's been, you know, that's what's probably what it is, was what is causing a lot of the anxiety in me. And so I'm in this spot right now where I have, and it's wonderful, because this is at the phase of my learning that I'm at. So that's giving me, this lesson is right here on my platter. And this lesson is knowing the difference. And this is what we've talked about, knowing the difference between inspired action and doing something to forcing it to get it done. You know what I mean? And deliberately creating it. So I'm
what does the two feel like for you? Like when you're forcing something to happen, and then when you are taking inspired action, what does that feel like?
And I actually, because I knew we were going to have this conversation, I've gotten to the point where this morning went on this path where I was not in taking inspired action, and I literally felt sick. I've really gotten to that point where I can really listen so much to my emotions and what it feels like. Does that feel good, or does that not feel good? And if it doesn't feel good, and I'm not perfect, but this morning I kind of shifted it. And I was like, okay, that was better. You know what I mean? So instead of continuing whereas I used to, because it seems like the most realistic path, like I said, project manager, you have to take step A and step B and step C, and they all have dependencies, and that's how things work. And in our world that we've lived in, that's how we think things work, but that's not how they work. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of the letting go of that, but also then listening enough to myself. And like you said, to the things that come to me, to know that that's the next step I have to take. So it's that balance between making things happen and, like I said, that deliberate action. But then I know a lot of people are like, well, does that mean I'm just sitting by and not doing anything? And it's not. And it's like you were talking about before. It's like, okay, I knew I wanted this to happen, so I got my house ready to sell, you know? And so I'm doing the things that are going to put me in alignment to being able to get to where I need to be. But I don't know where I'm going to live. I have no idea how I'm going to afford this. I really don't. I'm flying by the seat of my pants right now.
Well, and also in that even saying that, where you know where you want to live.
I do. Yeah, I know where I want to live. Yeah.
And It's also, I feel, because I've been experiencing this,
Mm-hmm.
you get into the vibration of what it is that you want, and then you say, universe, because
Yeah,
you use
I
weren't
do.
you
Yep.
you use what universe, so I just go with whatever anybody feels. So if
Yeah.
whomever's listening, if you say God, cool. If you say spirit, whatever, I doesn't matter. We don't care. And but like you're like, universe, show me.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do this. I'm
Mm-hmm.
ready.
Mm-hmm.
And like truly feeling ready.
Yes.
Um, I mean, you can do this with anything, whether it be finding the house, finding the man, finding me loving on my body right now is like I went to reach for something to eat and I heard spirit be like, nope, nope.
Yes.
And before I would have been like, nah, I'll be good, no big deal. And I'm like, no, I'm listening now. I am surrendering. I've let go. I'm loving on myself. Like there's no ulterior motives. It's like you're being pure with what you are asking
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
because you're allowing yourself to be guided. And so, at least from my
No,
standpoint, I
that's
could be
no.
putting words in your mouth.
Yeah, no, and that's very true. And it's taking me, like you said, it took me a long time to get to that point. You know what I mean? It was a lot of stuff that happened, between it didn't just all of a sudden wasn't, able to do that. But I apologize again. I had a great thing to say and I lost my train of thought again.
You're
Shoot,
okay.
I know. I know.
What are you supposed to share?
What am I supposed to share? I know.
Yeah, what's coming right now?
Now I'm coming back to it. And this is actually what I want to share. It has been the true daily spiritual practice that I have implemented over the last a little over a year. And it truly is every day. And it has morphed and changed as I have morphed and changed, and different things and messages that I need to hear or ways that I need to hear them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it has truly been that I am lucky enough that I do dedicate at least the first hour of my day when I get up to, I have daily affirmations I say, which are amazing. And I can't, they sneak into your thoughts all day long. They really do. I read, I journal, and that has been such a practice of getting me ready to be at this point where it's going to be like, this is going to happen. And it's just going to be like, bam, here we go. You know what I mean? But it's taken a lot to get here. And it was that daily
Mm-hmm.
spiritual practice. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the message that I think my main message right now, that I preach about to people when I interact with them. So yeah, start something,
It is true. And I wrote that down for when Spirit was like, no, who do you really want to work with? And I was like, they already have a kick-ass daily routine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I don't have to hold your hand to try to teach you how to do that, because
Mm-hmm.
if I do that, then you're not living your chosen path. And then we need to work one-on-one and I can teach you that, like we can go through all the stuff. But if you're already like, I've done the work, I've done the healing work, just tell me what I need to know, Sarah. Like, let's do this. Like, I am ready to be in alignment. I'm ready to move forward. Just give me the goods.
That's hilarious, because that's exactly what it is. That's exactly, you couldn't have described it better. Yep.
I feel like that's where you were. So that just is like, okay, enough hee-hawing around. Let's do this.
For sure. No, that is exactly it. And so it's
and if Spirit would have told you all the details, because I felt when Spirit was speaking through me, when you called from Hawaii, Kauai, and you were asking about Maui, I was feeling like you were going to, but Spirit like meet the person,
right.
But Spirit was not like Spirit didn't tell me not to say, but all Spirit didn't say to tell you, because it was like Spirit's like, she can't stand in her way. Just tell her to stay for at least 2 weeks.
Yes.
And I was like, okay.
And
so I did. And then I was like leery to tell you, because I was like, oh God, if something goes wrong, oh God.
And you didn't. And it was incredible, because I really thought that I didn't know what the life-changing thing was going to be. I thought maybe it was going to be a business opportunity. I didn't know. because why in the world would I want to meet someone? And you know what I mean? It's just, it didn't cross my mind. And I think I think because I was so open to it, plus, you know, the way that we met, and it's so beautiful. And the fact that, you know, I didn't know till I knew him for a good 24 hours that he was a big deal. Had to, you know, has like a big boy job and everything. And there's just everything, just my daughter met him at the beginning and she loves, like, everything just worked out. And I never, if you would have told me that, if you would have told me that there was a man, you know, there, I would have messed it up. I would have been in my own head. I would have, you know, I mean, the guy met me, my hair was wet, makeup streaming down my face, and I didn't even care. And I don't know what that's all about, because that's not me. You know what I mean? So thank you.
I know. We would get on calls, just you and I, and you're like, I don't look right. We can't do video.
Whatever, girl. I've never seen you without makeup either.
We don't need that. You don't need it.
Right. I still like it. No, but again, so thank you for not telling me, actually, because I did not think that's what it was, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I didn't know for certain. I just knew that you were supposed to stay, and I just felt it, but Spirit wasn't telling me either way, you know. And so
I never felt, that's probably the strongest. I've, like I said, had many, I call them God moments, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, this is the decision. Which way are you going to go with this? And this was I felt this one deep down. I, again, was literally sick when I was thinking that we were going to go home, you know what I mean? And not stay. So
I get it when I I don't need to get into all that, but I totally get it. So homework for people is to write out up at the top of a piece of paper, and I haven't done this with any of the other calls, but I feel it's very, because there's been 3 people, and usually when things work in threes, I just move forward with it. So there's 3 people in the last day that's either posted or messaged me privately just on this topic of, well, I've been really asking for what I want, but I just sit around and like not do anything, that sort of thing. And then I've also had people message me this morning in a different group that I'm leading, and it's the How to Listen to Divine Guidance e-course. And we're going to have our group call tonight. And she was just asking, she was talking to me, but I mean, I was pretending I was Spirit and being like, I'm very confused of what you're even asking for. What is it that you want? And then she was like, okay, part 1 is this and part 2 is this. And then I'm like, oh, I can get you answers for that. But so homework is not necessarily you, because you've done this, but what, like right up at the top of a piece of paper, or I even done it, I do it on my phone in my notes, and it is, what is it that I really want? And if you want to be like Julie and write things out and then burn it, release it to the universe, or put it in a little prayer box, whatever you want, do your thing. There's like no right or wrong, good or bad about it, but different categories, whatever it is that you really want. So if it is relationships, health, spiritual, financial, home, whatever, those are the categories that I have done. Do you have any other categories that you would add?
Yeah, I actually, not a category, but I read something this morning that really resonated with me. The same idea. And it was, what would make me excited? You know, I would be really excited I got to do this, or I got to be this. What would make me excited? That's just another way to think about it. Yeah.
And like, what is it that you like go into like the really want, really excited, not just be like, oh, that'd be nice.
Right. Exactly.
Like I would be like, I want, I'm stating personally, like I listed out my home and I was like, a magical, serene place, gorgeous, spectacular views of the mountains, amongst trees, lake view, north-facing home with south view, with giant windows facing the south to let the natural sunlight in, hot sun. I mean, I went into details. It's a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house with a hot, dry sauna in it, with a pool, with all the landscaping done, because this woman is not going to be doing landscaping. No, thank you very much. And I got into the energy of that and be like, and then I was like, show me, Spirit. Show me. And I got in and I was like, where can I go to see this home? So you prove it to me. And I usually don't test Spirit that much. Honestly, I'm just like, and Spirit zoomed in on Zillow on a house.
You didn't tell me this part.
Yeah, and I don't know if I actually sent it to you, and like zoomed in on a house, and I even put down like, I want benches along the windowsill in the girls' bedrooms and my bedroom. I want a walkout balcony that overlooks this view from our bedroom, so that way I can wake up in the morning and like do my thing, connect, and you just be like, yes, this is all mine. Yes, like, thank you, Spirit. And the house represents, it's not like, yeah. And it's not like your swim up man is like, yeah, bitches, I got this.
No.
Like, no, it's like, oh my God, yes, thank you so much.
Yes.
And it's just like overwhelming gratitude of just like, oh. And so like my intention for sharing the stories that I get to hear and I get to experience with all, like, whoever wants to listen, is like, I want 100 people doing this. I want 100 people living with their soulmate. I want 100 people on their chosen path. I want you to continue to inspire people over and over, and then they do it over and over. Because how many people have you just shared this? And they're like, I'm going to go take this vacation. I'm going to go quit my job. I'm going to go visit my son. I'm going to go, whatever it is, like you've healed relationships over this, because it's like, oh my gosh. And so I want that. I want the ripple effect to happen over and over. And this house represents that ripple effect in all the women and men's lives that are aligned and beautiful and gorgeous and amazing. And they're happy. And it's just like, heck to the yeah.
Just imagine what the world would be like then. You know what I mean?
And the earth is already prepared. Its energy is already prepared. Before it was like, there's some shit that still needs to happen. But now it's energetically prepared for everybody to be elevated. And I like, through this time of pivoting, I've been like, no, I'm not pivoting. I'm elevating like this, energetically, physically, mentally, spiritually. And I feel like that is what you've done as well. Is like, you've elevated. And yes, you like logically, our logical minds want to get in the way, because our minds want to be like, Sarah Sparks, how in the world you can afford $1.2 million house?
Right.
Like, what the F?
Right.
And then Spirit's like, what, you don't trust me?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you know it's going to be that?
Exactly.
Or the man, if you would have been like, well, I have to meet him on Bumble or whatever hell, like, this is how it's going to happen. Yep. And you're like, you would have never imagined it would have been so easy, effortless, and you're just having a good time. And then this man swims up to you in the ocean.
I know. It was, I mean, and he wasn't supposed to be there, and I wasn't supposed to be there. And it just, yes. And if I would have known that, no, yeah, you have to open yourself up for it. You put out there what you want. And I think that's where I got, especially with the man thing. Sorry to digress just a little bit, but it's like, I had, like, it's done all these relationships and have been having all these almost relationships with people. And finally it was just like, I don't want anything less. I don't want anything less than this. And this is what I want. And until this comes, I'm not going to do anything else. And that was the letting go, and that was huge. Yeah. So,
yeah. And it happens in so many ways. So share with us your story, write in the comments, share this with others who are truly wanting to deliberately create their lives. Yeah. Every single day. It starts with a decision. And one last thing is, Julie had posted some inspirational message in like mid-December. And I saw it and I was like, she's ready. Like, she's ready to live her chosen path. And I was going to reach out to her then, but I screenshot it and I was like, yeah, she's ready now. And so I sent it to you via Messenger right after Christmas, like the 27th or something. Because I remember I was driving to Orlando. I was riding. Craig was driving. And I just was like,
yep.
Are you ready? And then like there was even some like a little bit of convincing that happened. But one thing that I share with you and I share with others is, when you're saying yes to to like, hey, do you want to hop on this program and live your chosen path? It's not that you're saying yes to some virtual group program. You're saying yes to the whole freaking universe And the universe is like, oh, she's serious now. All right, we'll go to work for her. Okay, that sounds good. Oh shit, yeah. I just lost my I got a little excited. But yeah, so it's you saying yes to, and then you continually saying yes on a daily basis in your practice is what I hear also from you. So anything else you want to share before it's going upon 40 minutes? So I'll let you go and let others go. Thank you so much for sharing your story, for allowing me to share messages with you, for allowing me to work with you. It has been such an honor and pleasure. And
yeah, me too. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.